Adana stood before the grand glass windows of Mason and Young's law office. Seoul's skyline glittered outside, but all she could see was the email glowing on her screen. Effective immediately, you are suspended from courtroom practice and reassigned to Daehan Law School as a guest lecturer. Her hands trembled. After all she had sacrificed to become the firm's youngest partner. After the case she refused to bury, this was her reward? Adana inhaled slowly, letting the rage simmer beneath her calm exterior. Fine. Let them think they'd won. She clicked reply, typed a simple acknowledged, and hit send. Then she rose, smoothed her blazer, and walked out of her office for the last time, heels clicking like war drums against the marble floor. But in her heart, she made a vow. They would regret this. Daehan Law School wasn't unfamiliar. Adana had lectured there once during her early years. Back then, she'd been the guest, the star. Now she was the exile. On the first day of class, she entered the lecture hall to see rows of distracted students. Phones in hands. Heads down. Except one. Namjoon. Last row. Hoodie on. Sharp, observant eyes locked on her like she was the only person who existed in the room. And when she spoke about silence, justice, and power, after the lecture, as the room emptied with the usual rustle of bags and low chatter, Adana looked toward the last row. Namjoon was still seated, jotting something in his notebook. She walked up to him, quiet, calm. Namjoon, right? He looked up quickly, surprised, unsure if he was in trouble. Yes, ma'am. I need a teaching assistant. Someone who thinks critically, researches well, and doesn't just parrot what I say. Are you interested? Namjoon blinked. His lips parted slightly, then slowly curled into a subtle, nervous smile. Yes, I'd like that. She handed him a sealed envelope. Inside are 2 real court cases. Choose one, and we'll meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. to discuss your findings. As she walked away, she could feel his eyes following her, not with lust, not with awe, but with curiosity. And something deeper. The next day at 7 p.m., her office at the faculty wing smelled of peppermint tea and old legal books. Namjoon arrived exactly on time, dressed better, more composed. He had chosen the Kong versus State case, the one about a minor falsely accused. He spoke calmly at first, but as the discussion deepened, something cracked in his voice. Adana leaned back in her chair, the flickering desk lamp casting soft shadows across the stacks of files between them. She studied Namjoon, not as a student, but as a young man carefully unraveling. Her voice was gentle, stripped of authority. Tell me what you mean, Namjoon. He hesitated, fingers tightening around the case file. Then he exhaled, like he'd been holding that breath for years. When I was 17, I was accused of assault. A girl said I attacked her after a party. I didn't even know her. I had an alibi, my therapist, my school counselor, CCTV, but no one wanted to hear it. Not when her father was a government official. Adana's lips parted, her chest tightening. Namjoon's voice dropped lower. The case never went to trial. My parents paid to make it disappear, but not before the news spread. I had to transfer schools. I tried to end my life once. Silence flooded the room like a wave. Why are you telling me this? Adana asked softly. He looked up. His eyes shimmered but didn't break. Because for the first time, someone looked at me and didn't see a label. Just me. Her heart ached. Not just for him, but for every time she, too, had been reduced to something less than human. They began working closely, days filled with court files, debates, and late-night coffee. The age difference was never spoken of, but always there, lingering in the small hesitations between them. One evening, while reviewing old court transcripts, Namjoon suddenly asked, "Do you miss it?" The courtroom. She chuckled bitterly. Every day. It's the only place where I felt seen. Powerful. And now it's gone. He reached across the table, fingers brushing hers for a moment too long. You haven't lost it. You're still fighting. Even now. Her breath caught. There was something in his voice, reverence. Affection. The kind of belief that scares you because it sees parts of you you've forgotten existed. Adana didn't move her hand. Namjoon's touch was barely there, like he was afraid of breaking the fragile air between them. But it was enough. Enough to spark something buried beneath years of control and careful professionalism. Her voice, when it came, was low. Vulnerable. This is wrong. Namjoon nodded slowly. I know. She smiled sadly. But I can't pretend I don't feel it too. The silence between them shifted, no longer heavy but charged. His hand curled over hers, this time fully. I thought I was imagining it, he whispered. You weren't. The days that followed danced on the edge of restraint. Their conversations deepened. Less about the law, more about who they were when no one was looking. They walked the campus at night, sharing stories, hopes, fears. She learned that Namjoon wrote poetry when his anxiety kept him awake. He learned that Adana used to stand in front of mirrors and rehearse arguments as a child, pretending her father was the jury. They laughed. A lot. But always there was the line. That invisible barrier marked by their age, their roles, society's expectations. One night, after walking her to her apartment door, Namjoon paused. The hallway was quiet, and the world felt too still. Adana, if things were different, if I were older, if you weren't my professor, would you let me love you?